Yo.
What up?
Anyway, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the actual 25th issue of Why Am I Nerd?
The real 25. We can rent a car now.
We can. You know, last week was the apparently issue 25. The week before that was issue 25. Apparently, I've said 25 like fucking.
Have you really?
Yeah, by accident. But this is actually the real 25.
The legit 25.
Yeah, it's because number 13 fucked us up because we don't have a 13 because it's a bad number. So this is 25. Where we get together to talk all things comic, from old to new, fantasy to what ifs, we got you covered. I'm Cameron James, joining me, as always, Golden Voice Podcast, Matt Ferreira. So we are recording late tonight. It's
yeah, we are. This is that was my fault. Work ran over for me. It's gonna be a long week. It's Q4. I got a lot to do. I just got a lot of extra shit to do for work. Like it's just like we got a whole bunch of client renewals coming up, so just grinding through.
Client renewals.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fucking nightmare and a half.
It's right now it is.
I'll say my thing was I was nervous about this whole possible shutdown in New Jersey, but
I think that's going to happen, unfortunately.
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, obviously this is a topic for the French Rose show, but
when are we recording French Rose? When can the people expect French Rose to come out?
Next week, hopefully. I'm just waiting on the logo. Just waiting on the logo. But no, I mean the fact that our governor, so-called leader in New Jersey, took away, dining from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. I mean, I don't see him shutting down, anything after that. I mean, you might as well just fucking done it. Like, what the hell's the point?
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. He probably would have done it. But on the bright side, that does give us more time to come home and play video games and read comic books.
Yeah, but also some of us, if our business isn't open, we ain't making money.
Fair enough.
So, and unfortunately, being open is what I rely on to get some sort of paycheck. So, but I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. It's just this whole week has been a freaking, debacle since last Tuesday. To be honest, since the presidential election, I've been glued to my phone. We did the Alphabet Gold show yesterday. I was like, "What's everyone playing?" I'm like, honestly, like, I haven't really played anything because I've just been so fucking stuck. And now the fact that our feature comic of the week today is Doomsday Clock actually kind of goes hand in hand.
Some of it actually really did sync up. But we're going to get deeper into this. But to my dear friend Kyle, who suggested this book, I can offer a deep, heartfelt fuck you. This is not a fun read. I was led to believe this is going to be something completely different. And I am not a fan of it so far. It is as brutal as the original Watchmen, which I think is wildly overrated. I'm going to come out and say that too.
Yeah, I forgot how hard of a read this was because, again, last time I read it was 2017, 18. So, like, it's been a while. And I remember reading this. And I was like, I don't remember this. And then there's actually a part of me that thinks I'm mistakenly blending together the Doomsday Clock and the Button, those two books. So I have to go reread the Button.
The Button's a different book?
Yes.
See, okay, DC's doing too much with this. The same way they're trying to do too much with their movies, they're actually doing too much with Watchmen. Like, chill the fuck out. Like, it's super celebrated. Again, I don't really agree with that celebration, but the fact is, it is what it is. People love Watchmen. People love the books, everything. But now you've got the movie. You've got, two follow-up books. They're all, like, core characters in the DC universe now, I believe, as a result of this book that we're currently reading. We're only halfway through, so I can't confirm or deny that yet. You've got the TV show, which is actually pretty good. I do need to finish. Shout out to my buddy Lucas, who has been harassing me about it. I promise I will finish it soon, hopefully by the next podcast.
What book?
It's like a lot. The show, the Watchmen show on HBO. It's on HBO. I think it's only like 6 episodes. It's just, I tend to watch shows like in the background. Like I'm currently going through One Piece. We need an anime podcast, by the way. I'm currently watching through One Piece.
I thought you and Washington D were talking about that.
We were. We could add that. We could add this part of the Why Am I Nerd Network. We just did it at the end of his podcast the other day. Sweet.
Yeah,
all right, I'm gonna bring that up.
You can add it. I just have to. Yeah. That's cool.
Oh, nice. All right, sweet. New podcast coming. We don't know what it's called yet, but shout to Washington Dave. You've been indoctrinated.
There you go. Yeah, I'm out. I'm completely out on that.
Dude, there's a lot of anime you would like. There's a lot you would like. We might have you as like you know what? Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll have you watch stuff that we've already watched and see what you think of it.
Whatever. The only anime that I watch is like Castlevania. I don't even know you can.
Dude, you would love Tokyo Ghoul. I'm telling you, watch Tokyo Ghoul. I'm going to send you the link for that. I'll give you my Funimation password. Watch like first couple episodes tonight.
Your Funimation?
Yeah, it's the name. I know it sounds stupid, but it's the name of the app I get all my anime. It's the company that does a bunch of like
I thought
the
the anime app was called like Sushi Roll.
There's a bunch of different ones. There's Crunchyroll, there's Kiss Anime, but Funimation's the actual company that translates a lot of the anime and then produces it. So Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, My Hero Academia, Shield Hero, Fire Force are all done by Funimation. So I pay Funimation monthly and I'm supposed to get premium access to stuff, but their app is absolute dog shit. So like it crashes a lot, but when it's running, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, look, as long as you don't make me watch some weird ass anime porn bullshit, I'll give it a shot.
This is something that we're going to bring up on the show. There is a lot of random nudity in anime, but it doesn't mean it's all bad or weird. But yeah, we're gonna have you. I think that's how the show's gonna work. So stay tuned, people. Whatever our anime show is gonna be called, it's coming.
So stay tuned for our 2 new shows. Then is an anime show called We Don't Know Yet and The French Roast, which again I highly recommend if you are sensitive.
Don't watch it.
Fucking listen.
This is gonna be our rated R, possibly rated X. Like, because X is above R. There's not sex on it. I'm saying X is above R.
Yes.
So it's like, this is just going to be very extreme.
No hold bars.
Yeah.
Free to say whatever you want to say. Because you know why? Controversy creates conversation. So once again, this is Why Am I Nerd presents Yoda Comics. You can follow us on Instagram, Why Am I Nerd Official, Facebook.com/Why Am I Nerd. Listen to new issues every Tuesday on YouTube and your favorite podcast service. So our show is once again moving some things around, but we think that the new structure we have here, moving forward, starting with episode really 25, just flows a little better. So we're getting right.
Oh, I was like, one other thing I'm going to add: if you think there's a segment that we should have that we don't yet, or you want to see a different, arrangement here, please feel free to comment on one of our videos, shoot us a message, and we will do what we can to update it. We'll make it, as smooth as possible for all of our lovely listeners out there.
Yeah, we're good with change.
Yeah.
As long as you are. But moving on to our Who Asked for This segment of the week is none other than unwanted backstories in comic books. So, Matt, go ahead and click the link. Number 5.
All right, so we got an article from CBR.com, the 10 worst things to happen to the Ninja Turtles in the comics. Oh, I know number 1's probably when Raphael gets his face melted.
Just go to number 5.
The Turtles learned of their past lives. Learning that they are reincarnations of... Oh, this is stupid. Who wrote this? Learning that they are the reincarnations of the feudal Japanese children of Hamato Yoshi and Tang Shen affects the turtles differently. The key division is a far more spiritual Leonardo and a more scientifically grounded Donatello in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 10. Leonardo, who readily accepts the circumstances of Splinter's disappearance as part of his centuries-old struggle, is quickly rebuffed by Donatello, who claims it all to be paranormal nonsense. Over the course of the series, the Turtles will learn more about their past lives and even travel in time to see their former lives in the Turtles in Time arc. What a perception-altering encounter. All right, that's stupid.
It's like, and we talked about this last week when we were discussing the 3 Jokers, which again, we gave it a go fucking read it, is you didn't like the fact, one of your big pet peeves was the fact that they actually gave the Joker
it's a huge pet peeve.
A background. Yeah. They gave him an actual origin story.
He's much better with a liquid background that, changes to whatever, suits his current purpose. I like the fact that like they did in Dark Knight, as I said a million times, where Heath Ledger's just like, nope, this is what it is this time. Nope, this is what it is this time. And you have no idea where he actually came from.
And you got to remember, people, these are fucking comic books. They're fucking over the top fake stories that will never fucking happen. So why give a backstory to something that does not need it? The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles don't need a backstory.
No, they don't. They already have one. Like, what the fuck is that?
Like, and this isn't the first time that I've read that they give the Turtles a backstory that involves kids or teenagers or human beings. Like, look, they get touched by some sort of fucking chemical, whatever it is at the end of the day. Use. They turn into fucking mutant turtles, and that's it. You know, you don't need some background about some kid getting possessed in a turtle or taking over this guy's soul or this bullshit. Nobody asked for this fucking shit. So drop it. Stop doing it. When people don't want to, if you can go years without giving someone a backstory, and then you just say like fucking like 10 years later, oh, let's give someone a backstory. Nobody asked for it. So don't fucking do it. Like,
nobody wants it.
Leave it at that. And the thing with the Joker is his backstory, it's always the same fucking story. He falls in the fucking pit of acid, toxic waste, and becomes
so funny you bring that up. But I'm not gonna mention why, because I'm sold. There's a number of things that could be the Shenanigans Engine this week, and that was one of them. But we'll go into it later.
Fair enough. Well, moving on to Matt, tell us what is hot off the press this week, courtesy of the Planet Bugle.
All right, we've got Detective Comics number 27 sells for $850,000. Why the fuck this is a thing is beyond me. We've got this from TMZ.com. It's still loading on my screen. So the Batman debut comic from 1939 sells for nearly $1 million. Why? I have no idea. Back in 1939, it was 10 cents. Some collector who for some reason had this money needed to get that. I don't know why you would ever, like, Cam, like, come on, you're the biggest Batman fan I know. Why would you ever do this? Would you ever do this?
Here's the thing that gets me. The grading on this comic is a 6. It's not even like
10.
That means like when you get a 6, you're talking, you know, broken creases in a comic book. You're talking fucking, you know, fucked up pages, watermarks, you know, bending of the cover, color being off. Everything you could think of is essentially fucking wrong with this book. And the fact that, first of all, like you said, who has $850,000 just lying around their bank somewhere
just for a comic book? Like, yeah.
This is unbelievably ridiculous. And I know we talked about it a while ago about the first issue of The Walking Dead sold for a pretty high price, but this is a little absurd. I
mean, it's more than a little absurd. You know what you could do with $850,000?
Yeah, I could pay off every one of my business debts. Yeah,
you could also probably buy another house, a car, a boat, a lot of fucking things all at once. Like, that is a huge chunk of money. Consider, like, I don't understand. Maybe is there some kind of like magic spell on it in which he's now going to be imbued with, you know, something? I have no fucking clue. Like that's the only reason I would do it. Like, that's crazy.
I mean, I understand the nostalgia and the fact that, you know, why somebody, if you just had random amounts of money lying around to be able to, to do that. But I mean,
like, listen, I'll tell you what. If I had that kind of money lying around and I was obsessed with Batman, you know what I would do? There's one of two things I would do, and that's off the top of my head at this very moment.
Shoot.
No, I wouldn't shoot anyone because I'd be obsessed with Batman. He hates guns. What are you talking about? Number one is I would probably make my own custom actual bat suit. Or two, I would make an actual Batmobile.
Yes. Okay. Fine.
Like, these are just things that are probably, like, granted, the Batmobile might not be like as amazing as the $1 billion one he has in the game. We're not going to talk about that, but you know, you could soup a car up. You could do some things. Well,
hear me out on this one. So I'm going to go through two other articles that might blow your mind even more. So the first one I found here, which was from the New York Post, August 25th, 2014. Action Comics #1.
That's Superman's first appearance?
Yes. The original copy, which was initially 10 cents, sold on eBay for $3.2 million.
Why? Unless I got Superman's powers, there's no reason to do that.
The starting bid was 99 cents. Within 2 hours, the price had risen faster than a speeding bullet, is what they wrote here, which is fucking cheesy as balls. It went past 1.5 million. The auction ended on a Sunday night for a total of $3.2 million. What's interesting about this one is that it did have a 9.0 grade. So that's, beyond fantastic. It's almost mint. And it even says here is all white page, all perfect color. It was great. Which is interesting because then I have another article here, which I don't actually know what year this article was written because there's actually no date on it. But this is the 20 most expensive comic books ever sold. I'm guessing this is probably before 2014, unless they changed pricing on it. But number one was, again, Action Comic number one. So in 2011, sold for $2.1 million. And this is funny. It says this particular copy of Action Comics number one belonged to actor and comic book aficionado Nicolas Cage before he sold it on an auction. So
he named his son Kal-El, so can totally believe
really?
that.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
So the second most expensive is was 2010, which is Action Comics number one again for $1.5 million. Something called Amazing Fantasies.
Amazing Fantasy number 15.
Yep.
That's the first appearance of the greatest superhero of all time.
I knew what it was. I just, didn't want to actually.
Come on, you knew I was going to know that, though. You knew I was going to know that.
He's not going to know this, and I only know this because it's right here in the description. Sold for.
It came out August of 1962, if I'm not mistaken.
All I know is it sold for $1.1 million.
Even that's a lot. Unless I'm getting a radioactive spider to bite me, and you can guarantee the powers are going to come out the same. Not doing it.
Well, then you had Detective Comics again, which was here's the interesting thing too with the Amazing Fantasy. The grade on that was 9.6, and then you have Detective Comic, the best comic book character ever created, which graded at a 8.0, which is less than your little fucking bitch spandex swinging web Spider-Man pussy.
You say it like Batman doesn't have spandex too.
He doesn't. He wears armor.
Yeah, he wears spandex, bro.
His comic was essentially 1.1 million. So my boy, whose comic was technically less grade than yours.
So it took him an extra 30 years. And so Spider-Man did it faster. Is what you're telling me. Spider-Man's was worth more faster than Batman's was.
Yeah.
Because it came out 30 years earlier. Yeah.
Needless to say, on this list, without going through it, there's pretty much 10. Action Comics number one is the most expensive comic that you could possibly fucking buy. So if you have enough money to go ahead and spend, let's see what the cheapest one was. Action Comics number one, a grading of 3, which is garbage, is still $400,000.
That's stupid.
I mean, I don't see any. Is there any comic book that you could see nowadays that's been released that may even touch not even that high of a price tag, but just might have the opportunity to get up there in value?
See, so the thing is, I feel like there's nobody new enough and original enough that's really taking the world by storm to get up to that point. Like the newest big hit character, I feel like that really kind of still holds that kind of weight that has his own book is like Deadpool. And actually, does Deadpool have a current ongoing series right now?
I don't actually know that.
I could see maybe something like Deadpool. Like Moon Knight's a little bit older, so I doubt that we would have seen it already. I
don't know. Moon Knight I can see because they kind of stopped printing a lot of his stuff for a while.
But I mean, he's been out for long enough that I feel like his comics would have had like pretty high value by now. You know what I mean? I feel like Deadpool's like not the new kid on the block. Like he's been out since the 90s. I think Deadpool first got introduced. But like he's the newest one I could see being worth value in like 20 years. Moon Knight I think has been out since the 70s.
75.
Something like that. Yeah.
75. I mean, I know that not that he would get his own comic by any means, but the new villain that they introduced in Batman 101, I guess he showed up in first, Ghostmaker, real fucking sick looking outfit, really cool, really cool design of the character. He does kind of have some Moon Knight vibes to him. I'm really excited to see where they go with it. I don't see him obviously getting his own. Maybe he gets his own debut. Maybe he turns like a Moon Knight type thing. But if you're googling it right now, it looks like you are because the color of your shirt's lighting up. His character design is
bro. What the hell is going on? What is this? A helmet?
I don't know yet.
Oh, okay. Yes. All right. All right.
His story.
He looks like he's about to be in like Destiny, like a game Destiny.
Yeah, he looked like one of the guys from Warframe. So pretty much he's Bruce Wayne's childhood like arch enemy nemesis. Like they always.
Oh, come on. But they just happen to have a childhood friend who also grew up to be a crime fighter or a criminal, like, and has all this random shit, like just all these billionaires in Gotham were just all super fucked up as kids. Because you got Bruce Wayne, you got Thomas Elliott, now you got fucking Ghostmaker. Bullshit.
Well, you don't really know much about him yet because it's interesting when they first show you like the backstory behind the two of them. He has his eyes are covered and he kind of looks like Daredevil. Like he has that sort of mask.
Oh, that
he can't see. So I don't really know much about, unless I missed his backstory, which I really don't think I did. Obviously, I've been reading this stuff since it came out. The Rebirth came out. I am excited to see where they go with that. I think that'll be cool. But the only comic that I've kind of seen go up in price pretty quick is indeed none other than the thing I have right here, which is
Batman Sick. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh, which I need to pick up and
still
give you money for.
I mean, I could see that maybe doing some value. Again, do I think any of this stuff?
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. I could see that one the first issue. They're both first editions, right?
Come on, bro. I wouldn't give you some second print. What the fuck do you think this is? We do a goddamn comic podcast. You think we're going to go buy second prints of shit? Yeah, we got the third print of The Last Ronin because we're a bunch of fucking pussies. Yeah, no, that's not how we fucking roll here. But anyway, moving on to our second topic is the pros and cons of DC's rumored Omniverse. So I don't know if you know much about this.
I don't.
I have kind of mixed feelings about this, and I kind of, if you want my honest opinion, don't.
They're leaving shared continuity behind.
Yeah, so I don't hate this at all.
I kind of do.
I don't, because I can't stand when, and I've said this multiple times on this comic podcast, I can't stand when they have so many different stories going on between characters and none of it lines up. None of it lines up. And I know they try, but, you're reading The Flash, and that's supposed to, like the Rebirth Flash will say, and Batman shows up. It's not necessarily going to follow 100% what's going on in the Batman story. So, not crossing over those storylines, I think is smart, but I think you also have to make sure that it's done, seamlessly, because you want to make sure that people realize like it isn't connected. Because think about how many times you've read something and you're like, wait, why is this happening? This guy's didn't do any of this. It's like, oh, it's a different, multiverse. It's a different Earth. It's different this. So,
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
I was gonna say, like, if they give the background in the comic books, like kind of like what Marvel does with a lot of their stuff, I'm okay with it. It really doesn't bother me that much. But if they're just throwing you into something and you're just expected to know, that makes it weird. I do. In the 90s, I feel like did this a lot, where they would reference something that was going on. They'd be like, oh, like the other day when I had to help Thor with that thing, and it'll be like, check Amazing Spider-Man number 96. You'd be like, okay, cool. I'll go check that. I'm cool with. I like that because that gives a little bit of depth. They're kind of like, all right, I'm curious. And it's like, let me go fishing deep in, like find what else I can read about this book. That's cool. I don't like when storylines go from like one book to like, I'm just going to use Spider-Man as the example. If it's like Amazing Spider-Man has a story continuing, Spectacular Spider-Man has a story continuing, Web of Spider-Man, like that shit pisses me off. So I'm with you on that. But shared continuity as a whole, I think is a good thing, because I don't understand how all the comic book writers aren't in a room. Like, okay, let's say it's DC and you're writing Batman and I'm writing Superman, and Ant's here, he's writing Wonder Woman, and Sean is writing Flash. So like we can all sit in a room and be like, okay, we know the big events coming up where all the dead characters come back to life and whatever happens, like Atrocitus butt fucks Darkseid and they have a baby and it's atrocicide and it's super evil and they've got to stop it. Whatever. We know that's how things are going to end. What's going on in your books up till that point and how can they all tie together? I don't think it's that hard to have a couple meetings about that, discussing what's happening with each character, where they're going, and where they are at in certain timelines. Like, you just create a timeline, you write down the certain events, and then everyone can go on their merry way, write their books, and everything still coincides. Like, if every comic book company isn't already doing that prior to their major events and to go over what's happening with their major characters, I don't know why they're not. Like, it's stupid if they're not.
Yeah, but here's the issue you have. I mean, I think they and it's funny, they actually reference the Doomsday Clock here and Batman 3 Jokers on the Screen Rant article. But, like 3 Jokers was standalone. It references events that happened in the past from Death in the Family, from the Killing Joke, and assuming that you've read those. If you didn't read Death in the Family, if you have no idea what happened in Death in the Family, if you had no idea what happened in the Killing Joke, you'd probably be like, why do I care about any of this? So, the fact they brought that in later is, was done well. I thought they tied all that stuff together great. But I think what happens is where it kind of gets lost is, you had the Suicide Squad. You had Suicide Squad Rebirth came out, and they ended that after, I forget what it was, 60 issues, 70 issues, some bullshit like that. And then they rebooted again. And now you're like, what? Like, why are you rebooting again? You're dropping the name Rebirth. Now you're Suicide Squad 1. It's like, wait a minute. What? Hold on. So what timeline is this on? If they're going to do this, continuity thing and keep everything together, they need to they should be labeling the comics.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, I was going to say, like you just said, if it's Suicide Squad, put maybe at the bottom, right corner or something, be like Earth 6.
Yeah.
So then, if you just want to follow the Earth 6 storylines, you're like, boom, okay, I know where this is.
Yeah, like they're doing that essentially with the multiverse right now, with Dark Knight Metal, which I still don't like that universe at all, but they're kind of doing where they're like, okay, Dark Knight Metal, New Gods, Dark Knight Metal, Flash, where the fuck it is. So okay, this is the Dark Knight Metal.
The Dark Side. But still though, it's just that's extra shit to follow. Like when we go through the comic book list later, I wonder how many times I'm actually going to say Dark Knights this week. You know what I mean?
But that's what this is. But
I'm saying just put it somewhere else in the book. Like you could still have the book be called Flash. And I guess it doesn't make a difference, actually. Yeah, you're right. It's what I'm saying is pretty much the same thing. Where you just put Earth 6, and that's a whole side set of stories or whatever. But whatever.
It gets tricky. I mean, I think the pro by keeping it all separate is just like, hey, if you're reading Batman and if freaking, Superman shows up, it's not the Superman that you're reading in Action Comics. It's not the Superman.
Yeah, it's this Superman's pissed off because Batman made him stub his toe yesterday. Right. Something like...
and I think that is a good thing because I do think that sometimes, like you said, these writers aren't all getting into the room together. A lot of the times with these runs, you might have one writer that's writing, Batman, 100 to 120, and he's writing the same time where someone's doing Action Comic fucking whatever number they're at, 1,000 something or other, and so those are lined up. But then you switch writers, and now you're like, now what? Like, all right, where were you gonna go with this? Okay, you were gonna do this. Yeah, I don't like that idea. I'm gonna change it and do it this way instead. So I do think that kind of the plus of not having it, all together, makes sense. But I do agree with you said, like, if they want to keep it a little more cleaner, they should be putting it somewhere on the fucking comic, and they don't. They don't, and DC is the worst at it.
Oh yeah, hands down.
At least with Marvel, they give you the summary at the beginning of it, what happened in the previous issue. You can essentially go into a comic kind of clean if you have an idea of who the characters are. Yeah, and it tells you what you read prior. And yada, yada, yada. So
gives you a little breakdown of the characters who are involved in the story. You can actually, if you're just like, I don't even care about this unless the thing's in it, you can open the book to the first page. You're like, oh, he's there. Cool. I'm going to read this book.
And we were talking about, we were talking about 2 comics ago, or what did we read? 2 or 3 comics ago, where
you said, what did we read? And I had a flashback to when we had that month straight of reading The Boys. And I was just like,
I think it was a Long Halloween. Where it told you who the character was that was talking after you hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
And they did that well, and it's great. It's like, why not do that more often? Because sometimes you kind of miss it. You know,
It's different if you're. Oh, sorry.
No, that's all.
I was just gonna say it's different if you're like watching a show and you hear the voice. You know what I mean? Then you're like, oh, okay, I know it's this character that's talking and they're narrating this section.
Mm-hmm.
When you're reading it, you're imagining the voices anyway. Then you have to go back and be like, oh, that's how they talk. You know.
I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, you know, and it talks about the new deal in this article. We could post if anyone wants to read it. You know, the new publishing deal and whatnot that DC did. So, do I think that I've said this before? DC does better than Marvel right now in comics. Marvel does better than DC in film. This might be Marvel's way of leaping over DC in comics if they don't pull this off right. So,
yeah,
we'll see. But Matt, what do we got next?
We got premature renewals. I wish there was a better play on words there. But Disney Plus has reportedly already renewed Loki for a second season. This makes sense. Everybody loves Loki.
What?
Like I'm not. Yeah, people love Loki, dude.
I don't know, man. Like, hold on. I agree that people like Loki, but I don't agree that renewing something before the first season has even come out, that is a waste of money.
Yeah, not necessarily. I'm sure they're screening it. I'm sure some people have seen it in like, you know, limited focus groups and stuff like that. And it's probably done well enough that they're like, fuck it, let's go for season 2. That, or maybe it's one of those random shows that like ends on a cliffhanger that where they're like, we're not going to fuck around with this. You know?
You know how many shows have ended on cliffhangers?
Too many. Spectacular Spider-Man did, and it still breaks my heart to this day.
And think about this for a second. When they do these screenings, you know how many polls that they pull in the political aspect of things? Say, oh, this guy's doing a 60% rating. Yeah, you're going to poll fucking 900 people. Of course, if there's if there's 2 million people and you pull 900 of them, that's not telling you shit. So,
I mean, it's supposed to be a general, yeah. I think they probably know what they're doing. Like you said yourself, Marvel's doing a lot better. And well, actually, they're not great with TV shows. I'm actually going to go ahead and say that they're not great with TV shows, but with movies, yes. So we'll see, because this is Disney Plus. Maybe it's going to work more like a movie. Maybe it'll tie in to the greater movie universe since it has one of the better actors. You know, I guess we'll see.
Well, think about it. You had when Avatar came out, God knows how long that was. They were like, "Oh,
which Avatar?
Avatar, blue creature thingy Avatar."
Cool.
They were like, "Hey, we're gonna do Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7." Bro, that movie came out like 13 years ago.
Well, the next one's on its way. They're almost done. Like he's apparently had to wait for technology to catch up to what he wanted to do, which is absurd.
But again, premature renewal.
Well, hold on. It's not necessarily premature because what James Cameron is trying to do is push the boundaries of filmmaking. From that perspective, I get it and I appreciate, what he's trying to achieve. What I don't appreciate is the laziness with the actual writing for the Avatar movies. Because why the fuck you've got this whole film centers around these floating fucking rocks, and the only thing the motherfucker could come up with to call it was unobtainium. Unobtainium. You can't obtain it. Fuck off. There was nothing else. You could call it cylindrico. Boom. I just made up a word. Throw it in there. Anything.
So you didn't like the movie.
Unobtainium. And it's Fern Gully. I don't give a fuck. That movie is Fern Gully with giant blue people.
So you're not a fan?
I mean, like, I'll watch it when the new one comes out, but it's always going to piss me off when they're like, we need to get more of the unobtainium. Like, fucking really? Did an 8-year-old write this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the movie. I'm going to go out there and say it. I didn't like it. I thought it was like some bad Romeo and Juliet bullshit. It was all about
it was all just about the graphics and the stuff he was able to create. He was just like, here's a way I can randomly create stuff. Yeah, like, yeah.
Exactly. So what was he waiting on that? Now we're kind of switching topic for a hot second, but what exactly was he waiting on that needed apparently to wait 13 years to do?
Apparently this next one is, I think it's only been 11 years. Oh, well, no, I guess it depends on when they finished making the last one, but I think it came out in 2009. But either way, this next one is underwater, apparently, I think, like the whole thing.
2009, yeah, it came out.
Because James Cameron's like obsessed with the fucking ocean. I don't know if you knew that. So this next one's all underwater on Pandora.
Come on.
Why wouldn't you call it Pandorium? Like there's so many other things. Like it pisses me off so much. Like why the fuck would you call it unobtainium?
I don't know. I don't have his phone number in my back pocket.
What is James Cameron? If you hear this, can we tag him on Instagram? Just James Cameron. I'm going to look it up right now.
I mean, I know Cameron James.
Yo, I didn't even put that together.
I can call that guy up if we want and see what he has to say about it. I'm sure he has plenty of opinions on bullshit. But no, I mean, I think the premature stuff like this is kind of sketchy, especially if you don't follow through with it. Who the fuck knows what can happen? It could tank. It could be people. Nobody could watch this. And then we're like, well, we already kind of have this idea for a second season. Nobody wants to watch it. You know, they didn't pre-release or announce. I don't think they did the Mandalorian season 3 already.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, James Cameron does have. I mean, they should do season 3 for them. Mandalorian's fucking amazing.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen any of it?
Nah.
See, I feel like if you watch it now, you're not going to like it. That's what happened to the Finn suit, where I think he just, A, he's not a big Star Wars guy. B, he watched it too late and he was like, I don't get it. So it's like, it makes sense. Like if it's overhyped at that point, and if you don't have any of like the background, like love for it, then it's like, well, what's the point in watching it? So yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I am officially following James Cameron official on our Instagram.
All right. Well, I'll make sure when I put that little clip that'll air tomorrow for a little preview, I'll tag him in it. I'm sure he's gonna. Maybe he'll write us a little letter back. Make you come to our screening.
Imagine that. Yeah, where he's just like, "Fuck you guys!" Like nobody listens to this podcast.
You guys want to talk
either way,
shit.
good publicity. Yeah, either way, it's good publicity for us.
And for the record, Mr. Cameron, our viewers or listenership on this podcast has gone significantly higher since we started. You know why? Because we might be the only podcast out there that actually talks shit.
It's true.
Putting it out there.
Although I will say, if James Cameron does listen to this, thank you so much for Aliens and Terminator, and especially Terminator 2, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So thank you for that. I'm not ripping on you as a filmmaker. I just think some shit in Avatar could have been written maybe a little bit better. Just gonna throw that out there. I'd help
me too.
If you need help.
Yeah,
but like Terminator 2, fucking amazing.
I mean, if you need to put me in a green suit, you know, if you like my flow, whatever.
Yeah, imagine it's just what the fuck were they called? The Na'vi were just like locks, just sitting there like.
God. We're gonna he's gonna hear that, and then we're gonna watch Avatar 2 and be like, "Are those us?"
Right, like we're just underwater shot. People. Yeah, we're gonna get killed. Of course, he's gonna kill us off. Like probably horrible deaths. Yeah.
Dead. We're like
eaten by like a sea dragon or something stupid. Like, yeah, like
you ever see Beetlejuice? Sandworms. Fucking sandworms. Totally eaten by sandworms. But whatever. James Cameron, call us. We're available at all times.
Yeah.
But
hit us up, bro.
This next thing that I saw was the weirdest article I found this week when I was doing my weekly comic. Oh yeah.
Wait, did I just read that correctly?
Yes.
This comes to us from CBR.com. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle writer is pushing for a sequel to the 1990 film.
What about the other two? They already had
Did he just skip them? Like, do they just not count now?
I mean, they did it with Halloween.
That's true.
You know, they said Halloween 1 and they just disintegrated Halloween 2, 3, 4, whatever the other was, and went straight to, you know, whatever the new one was that came out 2 years ago. But this was weird to me because, not for nothing. Well, I'm going to go on the record and say this: the Turtles in the 1990s movie looked way better than the Turtles CGI'd.
Oh yeah,
which is sad to say.
I mean, there's something to be said for that. If you look at Mandalorian, a lot of the props are practical, and people have been praising the production value and the look and feel of the show, and that's part of the draw to it. So there is something to be said. I would love to see, you know, puppeteering come back and all that stuff, because like it fucking works.
I don't think those turtles were puppets in that movie.
They're not puppet. They're wearing like costumes. Some of it's puppetry. They're not like full on puppets, but like.
Yeah, this was weird when I saw this, because not that I'm rejecting it in any means. I think that they're probably trying to capitalize on the fact that this last Ronin book was a smash hit.
Oh yeah,
for fucking IDW. Like it it blew up. They're already on second, third printings, I believe. It's it's hard to find still. So I think, granted, this is obviously this writer, the screenwriter for the first one isn't involved with this by any means, but I guess like if he gets what he wants and gets a sequel to the 1990s film, which true story, I've only seen number 2 and number 3. I've never seen number 1, actually, believe it or not. Where does he go with this in a sense of, does he make the turtles look like they do here in this picture, which I will put a photo up when we're having this conversation of them here in their little outfits, or do they go to CGI? Because it can get difficult, I think, if he's trying to make a sequel and he does some CGI bullshit, because again, the CGI thing I'm not about.
Yeah, I would hope they don't do that. I don't know.
What are your thoughts on this one? Do you think it's a little outdated and a little far of a stretch?
It's just they're definitely doing a little bit too much with it, because there's also that animated film coming out.
What animated film?
The one produced by Seth Rogen and Evan Green. It mentions it a little bit lower down in the article. I forgot that was happening until I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
So
I guess they're just trying to get rid of the Secret of the Ooze, which true story had Kevin Nash show up at the end of that when he goes into fucking like Super Shredder. And then the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 was just fucking awful. It's when they're in Japan and they get like a time fucking capsule and they like...
That's on the list for Hero Cinema once that resumes, right?
Yeah. Oof. And I think that's the one where like Casey Jones or someone goes into like another body. He goes from like a typical white dude to like this fucking like samurai Asian guy. It's like super like, yeah, it's a rough one. So I just thought that this was an interesting read and an interesting topic, which I threw it on here real fast. But again, I think he's only trying to capitalize on the fact of how much of a success The Last Ronin is. And again, I can't harp enough on that comic. I was blown away. It's expensive. You're going to be spending, $10, $15, $20 on the comic, but it's a good read. If you can get a first print now, I don't know what they're going for. You might be able to get one for a decent price, but you should probably hold on to it, bag and board it, put it on a wall, and but enjoy the book. Read it first. Just make sure when you read it, don't fully open the fucking book.
Yeah. Or just find the summary online,
Yeah, you can do that too. We've done that before.
What do we have next up here? The Black Panther 2 movie rumors are heating up. So obviously, the tragic death of Chadwick Boseman is kind of hitting people. But CosmicBook.news is kind of leaning in a little bit more to the sequel here, giving a little bit of light on what might happen. And according to YouTuber Grace Randolph, the current plan from Feige is to have Chadwick Boseman appear digitally as the Black Panther at the start of the movie and get killed in battle. Wow.
I was surprised too when I read that.
And then Shuri becomes the new Black Panther. I kind of like the idea of him kind of sacrificing himself to regrow the flowers. I think that made a lot of sense, or the heart-shaped herbs rather. To have him get killed in battle, that's pretty crazy. But Black Panther 2 is rumored to involve Namor and the Atlanteans, which would also make sense. So
what do you mean?
So wait, that doesn't make sense either. So Black Panther in the comics has this major rivalry with Namor where they have issues going back. While they're both involved with the Illuminati, their countries are at war with each other. It's a very big fucking deal. But it's like cool. It's a very nice little like sub storyline that was really cool to read. Even though I don't think I've read the entire plot line, I need to go back and double check. But Grace also, to recap here, Grace also added that there is a plan to connect Namor, rumored to be in Black Panther 2, as the Atlanteans would be responsible for the death of T'Challa and Shuri's mother. So it says here, also there is a version of the script where T'Challa and Shuri's mother was killed a long time ago by Atlanteans, thus raising the stakes versus Namor. We'll see if they stick with that. So my thing is, does a long time ago mean during the blip? Because T'Challa and Shuri were both dead during the blip, so I don't see how it's possible their mother died a long time ago. Like, it's doesn't really make sense.
What do you mean by the blip? I don't know much about.
Oh, the blip was the snap. Thanos is it's the wrong.
Oh, that's what you're referencing.
That's what when people died and came back, it's called blipping. Like they experienced a blip where they were dead and then came back to life after 5 years.
Interesting. I didn't know that because if you want my honest opinion, I watched like every other Marvel movie universe film because again, it just wasn't there.
Well, they explained it in Spider-Man Far From Home, which we watched together.
Yeah, I probably wasn't paying attention.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like this idea at all. I think killing him is a little.
Yeah, it's just I would like to see them do more with the character, but I understand you can't really follow Chadwick Boseman, so it's.
But I mean, with all due respect, as well, we mentioned this before. They have recasted the Joker before. You know, not obviously this is
that's
Black
true,
Panther, so,
but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same Joker. It was in a completely. You know, they didn't even really reference him in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, but there has been, you know, okay, Spartacus.
Spartacus was probably the best example. But that also wasn't quite as much of a pop culture phenomenon as Dark Knight or Black Panther.
I mean, I think that there's a better way though to write him out because you're gonna.
I agree. I don't like the idea of killing him off in the movie.
Yeah, because let's be honest, you're gonna end up bringing him back at some point. There's no fucking way T'Challa.
He's too big of a character to not. Yeah, I agree.
So they're gonna. Even Kyle said it. You know, two issues ago, like they're gonna recast him at some point. So it would make more sense for. I would think would be when the Multiverse of Madness happens, would be to do something where he gets sent to like
replaced by a different actor there.
Maybe that's where they actually write him out. Like, okay, he gets sent to another universe somehow, or somehow he goes to another, dimension, universe.
They Red Skull him basically. Like you remember how Red Skull and Captain? I don't know if you saw the Captain America movie. Yeah, like he goes in that portal at the portal beam or whatever at the end, and then he shows up again in Endgame like years later. You're like, oh fuck, that's where he's been.
And it's a different actor.
Yeah.
So I think that would make more sense. I think that would also make people a little more comfortable
with it. Although, funny thing that I didn't even realize I was doing until just now.
Fair enough.
Like it just occurred to me I had this shirt on.
I mean, it also occurs to me that if you look in my in just like my background, everything is literally Batman related except that guy. Right where my finger is. Aquaman. Oh,
what is that next to Aquaman? Yeah.
This? Deathstroke.
Oh, okay.
And that's Wonder Woman. But yeah, I think killing him off is a bad move because, like I said, you're going to bring him back at some point. How are you going to explain that? Yeah, I think by making him just go to another dimension or another universe makes more sense because then if he shows back up, imagine 5, 6, 7 years from now, something happens, he just shows up. Obviously, you're going to know who the actor is. They're going to obviously tell you. It's like you said before multiple times. With the internet nowadays, you can't fucking keep anything quiet. So to see him show up, I think your best bet with recasting him too is you can do two options. Obviously, there's really only two options here. One, Spartacus, if you didn't know that they recasted that guy, you probably would be second guessing yourself. Like, is that the same actor or not? Like, they look pretty fucking close.
They look pretty similar.
So it's like, would you recast T'Challa as somebody very similar looking to Chadwick Boseman, but at the same time, he has a very unique look? Or do you just go something completely different and just cast somebody new that's up and coming that people seem to start getting behind? Like, oh yeah, fucking he showed up. Like, that's dope. Because you said it before, like, imagine in Multiverse of Madness, someone says Tony, and it's just like fucking Tom Cruise turns around. You're gonna be like, what? Like,
what the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, do you do that with his character, or does his character need something a little more concrete where it's not the shock value of the actor, it's the shock value of, oh shit, Black Panther's back. So
fair.
It'll be interesting to see what happens going there. But my last topic here that I found, because we're gonna skip the thing after this, we could use that for another show. We're running a little long on time. Is Marvel hinting at possibly buying IDW? Now, there is no indication that they're any interest in doing this, but we have seen this before where IDW puts out these
like Marvel books, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that they're doing it in a middle for like middle-aged kids. And why would Marvel allow IDW to do this and not just do it themselves? Because it doesn't really make much sense. Can you see Marvel purchasing another comic company, or do you think this is just them trying to help them out?
I'm not really sure like what exactly is happening because I don't get it.
They're pretty much making PG versions of like origin stories. I mean, they've done Spider-Man, then they've entered Black Panther. Now they're doing freaking Captain Marvel. So it's very strange. I don't get it. I haven't gotten it since it started happening. Even the artwork here, I'm assuming this isn't necessarily the exact artwork. It is very, PG kid. I use the term bubblegummy, and it's just weird. And for a company as big as Marvel, who had no fucking problem getting themselves involved with Disney, are they trying to capitalize on this as well? IDW is not the biggest, necessarily franchise in the world when it comes to comic books, not franchise, but, publishers.
Yeah.
But they do have some, decent heavy hitters, you could say, when it comes to what they do have, in their comic line. You have Ninja Turtles, they do Transformers, they do G.I. Joes,
My Little Pony,
they get involved with. So they have plenty of, decent supporting cast to maybe validate a purchase down the road. Because, like, could you imagine if Marvel's like, hey, we now acquired the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Like, that would be.
I mean, yeah. Well, they did team up with DC a little while back, so
I have them.
Actually, are they technically in the DC? I never actually know how to follow that.
I don't really get it. The only person that really showed up I've seen in DC from them was the Ninja Turtle that teamed up with Batman. But
yeah,
if Marvel was able to take over that franchise, even the Transformers, like, not that I'm saying like, hey, they're now going to somehow make their way into the movie universe, but if they took over the Ninja Turtles and Transformers and brought them into their movie universe somehow, that would be like a whole different ball game.
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
Because again, like I said, going forward, like with these stories, they're very weird. I don't really get it. They're kind of these, it says right here, the Marvel action line at IDW has focused on creating kid-focused stories about the most popular Marvel superheroes, including Spider-Man, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and the Avengers. I just don't get it. I don't get where they're going with this, why they're doing it, what they're hinting at, if anything. Again, I could be looking way too deep into this, but just the fact that they keep coming out with more and more and more stories, it's like, where are they? Where are they going? What are they going to do? So, I mean, you have any thoughts on this, or are you just kind of just as confused as I am?
I'm just as confused as you are. I really don't know why or how or what the goal is. It really just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, again, do I think Captain Marvel is necessarily a good pick for them to do next? I mean, probably not. I think that Marvel has way more characters that they could have done than Captain Marvel.
I mean, I love Captain Marvel, but yeah, it depends.
I mean, they probably could have capitalized on, anybody. Here's my thing with this. These are targeted towards younger readers. Like I said, maybe middle school kids or whatnot. You have all this new stuff going on Disney Plus.
Sorry, one thing I will say, I just read the synopsis for this Captain Marvel thing, and it's bad.
Wait, go for it.
In the first story arc, Carol Danvers is trying her best to enjoy some well-deserved downtime in New York City. But when Gwen Stacy, a.k.a. Ghost Spider, introduces her to the Click Clock app, things quickly spiral out of control.
That's where they're going with this.
So
that's where it is. So
that's really shitty. So maybe it's stories so shitty that Marvel doesn't see fit to publish them themselves. I really don't.
Well, but what I was trying to say before, real fast, just the fact that you have all these shows going on Disney Plus, why not capitalize on a show that's going to be on a character that's going to be on a Disney Plus show? Why bring fucking, Miss Marvel. I get that she just came out, but
yeah,
I don't know. And again, if you're writing stories like that, that's like that's like kid teen, that's like CW shit.
yeah.
Like that's what this is. This is the CW version of Marvel. So congratulations, you found it. Instead of DC putting out shitty stuff on CW, you guys just putting out
on IDW
shitty fucking comics on IDW. So, but before we get into our feature comic of the week, tell us, Matt, what can we find November 11th on the shelves at our local comm shops?
From DC, we've got Detective Comics number 1030. We've got The Flash 765, Wonder Woman 766, Superman 27, The Green Lantern Season 2 number 9, Punchline Special number 1, Hawkman number 29. Hawkman fucking sucks.
Yeah, he's losing.
Dark Knights, Death Metal, Infinite Hours, Extreme. That's with 3 X's, like it's an X-Men porno movie. Number 1, American Vampire number 7. American Vampire 1976 number 2. From Marvel, The House of Ideas, we've got The Amazing Spider-Man number 52, The Amazing Spider-Man number 52.LR. Stop fucking doing that.
There it is.
Like, that shit pisses me off so much. Like, why? We've also got Marauders number 15, Wolverine number 7, Excalibur number 14, Star Wars Darth Vader number 7, Savage Avengers number 14, Strange Academy number 5, Iron Man number 3, The Magnificent Miss Marvel number 16, Champions number 2, Marvel Zombies Resurrection number 4, Taskmaster number 1, Warhammer 40,000, Marnius Calgar number 2, True Believers, King in Black, Black Panther number 1. True Believers, King in Black, Beta Ray Bill number 1. True Believers, King in Black, Valkyrie number 1. What the fuck is that?
No idea.
It stands for Black Panther. Like the other ones, I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? Something just fell on my desk and I have no idea what it was or if I need to be worried about it.
It's not a spoiler, don't worry.
I hope not, because it was fucking heavy, whatever it was. From IDW, we've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, number 111, The Transformers, 24, Sonic the Hedgehog, 34, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 276, Star Trek, Year 5, number 16, Star Wars Adventures Annual, 2020, G.I. Joe, number 10, Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Too Long a Sacrifice, number 4, Scarenthood, number 1, Dungeons and Dragons, At the Spine of the World, number 1, Goosebumps, Secrets of the Swamp, number 2, Marvel Action, Chillers, number 1, Voyage to the Stars, number 3. From Boom, we've got We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 3, Seven Secrets, number 4, Red Mother, number 10, and Power Rangers, number 1.
A lot of stuff, a lot of conversation about this new Power Rangers reboot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Should we check it out? Can we add that to the pull list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and chop that off on Wednesday anyway. Over at Comic Crypt. Shout out to those guys.
Shout out to Comic Crypt. From Dark Horse, we've got Hellboy and the BPRD, the Seven Wives Club, number 1. What the fuck? That was long. The Bill and Ted Are Doomed, number 3. The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, National Anthem, number 2. Resident Alien, Your Ride's Here, number 1. Who was it? Boom, we gave credit to for having awesome comic book names and titles last time.
Yeah, I think so. They do like
I think it was
Die or whatever.
Yeah, like Die, The Goddamned, all that. Like they had really cool names.
Goddamn Virgin Brides.
Yeah, what was the other one? The Pretty Violent. Was also pretty. We need to add that to the list. Actually,
we got to find the first 10.
Oh, fuck. I'm gonna go ahead and say Dark Horse is the exact opposite of that. Like these are really the True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, National Anthem. I have no clue what that's about. Resident Alien, Your Ride's Here.
I wonder if that's like a knockoff Resident Evil. I doubt.
But like, does it mean you're getting abducted? Like that's it. That's what I'm saying. Like these are. It's not like cool titles. So from Image, we've got The Marked, number 9. Kick-Ass versus Hit Girl, number 1. That's interesting because Hit Girl should win that every single time. Getting It Together, number 2. Todd Toys Comics, Spawn, number 1. Remastered classic red foil variant. Okay, sure. From Dynamite, we've got Die, ! Namite, number 2. What the fuck is going? Who is naming these? At Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, the death of Nancy Drew, number 6. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Why Am I a Nerd podcast network has been brought to you by our sponsor, Me Moms. The best breakfast and lunch down the Jersey Shore with 3 great locations in Wall Township, Middletown, and Brick, New Jersey. Me Moms specializes in unique and fun takes on your traditional lunch and breakfast items. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can find more information at www.memoms.com.
They got some fucking bad names here.
Dude, super shitty.
Todd Toys Comics Spawn #1 Remastered Classic Red Volume Variant. Say that fucking 35 times fast.
Yeah,
Not
like,
happening.
what the fuck? All right.
We're back. And we have our featured comic of the week, which was recommended to us by Kyle on episode, I guess it would have been 23 if we're going by the real comic numbers. Go check that episode out. Shout out to him as well. I'm sure he'll be back on. I took the cover off of the book because I don't like the fucking...
Hold on. Go back to that back cover. Shit like that pisses me off. Why are you trying to, like, if we're going to get into it when we really go through this, but like the fact that they tied the Watchmen into the mainstream universe pisses me off.
Yeah. So needless to say, we are reading Doomsday Clock Part 1. The sad thing is there is a second part. So that means next week will be Part 2. This is not going to be like the boys where we go on a fucking tangent on this. Luckily, it's only 2 books.
This is it. Yeah, it's only 2 books.
We just didn't have enough time to fucking read it again with everything else going on.
Like we said, it's been a long week. But yeah,
Matt,
so
take it away, man, because this book sucks.
Doomsday Clock Part 1. The first issue was released November 22nd, 2017, almost exactly 3 years ago. Written by Jeff Johns, illustrated by Gary Frank. 7 years after the events of Watchmen, Adrian Veidt has been exposed as the murderer of millions. Now a fugitive, he has come up with a new plan to redeem himself in the eyes of the world. The first step? Finding Dr. Manhattan. Alongside a new Rorschach and the never-before-seen mime and marionette, he follows Manhattan's trail to the DC universe, which is on the brink of collapse as international tensions push the Doomsday Clock ever closer to midnight. Is this all Dr. Manhattan's doing?
So, the Doomsday Clock story arc 2 is what I've been doing some research about exactly what this was, because it's been a very long time since I've read this. Not that long, but obviously a couple years now. This was their way of erasing the New 52 universe. So this is how they got rid of it. And I didn't like Watchmen. I don't like Watchmen. I think Watchmen is extremely overrated. I don't like this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to agree.
You know, I will see this one through. I am curious to see where they're ending it, because what I found out about this book, and which I didn't really, remember feeling this way back when I originally read this, 3 years ago, was some of the issues are actually pretty fucking good. And then some of the issues are just like, shut the fuck up. Like, it's so inconsistent of how it's written. And I was doing some research on other reviews or what other people were saying about this. A lot of people gave this part 1 like a 9. It's not a 9 for me by any means. They like hint at Batman, and then they don't touch base on him for like 2 issues later. They very vaguely hint at Superman. The most unique part about this book to me so far, the 2 characters that I find very unique is what's her name? Her name's Erica Manson and the mime guy. I don't remember what they said her name was in
Marionette.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. So Marionette. So her character and the mime reminded me a little bit of a play on Harley Quinn and the Joker.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
It was kind of what I got. But right away in the first issue, you get introduced to this new Rorschach who breaks out Erica and the mime guy. You find out that it's kind of weird. You're like, wait, Rorschach is supposed to be dead. You find out that it's ends up not being the same Rorschach, but
he insists that he is the same Rorschach.
Yeah, like he talks himself in a really strange way.
He's black, and the original one was a ginger.
Yeah, it's weird because I kind of see now where they're going with the Black Label Rorschach comic on how there's multiple Rorschachs. But what the whole alien invasion thing is so out there and so fucking weird. And I'm just like, I don't remember this in The Watchmen.
Maybe, at the end, like that's the thing that it's weird. Watchmen jumps the shark too. Yeah, it's supposed to be an alien attack, but then people somehow figured out that it was Vite, not an alien. I don't know. You know what my big thing was? They go in the second issue, and sorry we're not doing like a full on review because the book itself does jump around a bit here. Basically, we don't want to give. We're giving some spoilers, but we're not going to go full on spoiler. I don't
think you can spoil this because I don't understand what the fuck I've been reading. Like I don't.
Yeah, so like, well, the first issue ends with Superman having his first nightmare ever. Like, okay, which is
what
for some reason relevant.
And it's his parents getting killed in a car crash, which I don't remember that ever happening.
Well, no, it didn't. That's why it was a nightmare. But it's just like, what the fuck? Like, why is this a big deal? Like, Superman's never had a nightmare before. Like, all right.
And he's floating, and Lois Lane's like, can you come down?
Yeah,
I'm down here.
But no, I was gonna say Rorschach and Ozymandias, Vite, fuck him and his fake fucking name. They traveled following the things that make Dr. Manhattan blue to the DC universe, mainstream reality, Earth, whatever it fucking is.
How did they get there? Did they use that?
It's bullshit, dude. It's bullshit.
What do they call it?
The night owl. Yeah, which like it doesn't make any sense. Why would that be capable of interdimensional travel? And it's like, oh, we can follow these particles. And I'm sorry, if you can follow the fucking particles, why are you searching for them? If you have something that's actually going to track him down, like why do you need to go through these other methods to try and find him? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and so they start like the first issue, just so everybody knows, real fast format before you continue. They start off in one universe and then they go to another universe. So they're not on the same like Earth by any. It's like what? And they do a terrible job explaining it. Terrible job. It's just like what's happening.
Yeah, and then so. Where to start with this? Fucking Rorschach and Ozymandias go to the library to try and figure out what's going on in this current world they're in. And somehow while they're in the library, Vite, I'm just going to call him Vite, sorry. Vite determines that the two smartest people in the world here are Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne, which Bruce Wayne's public persona, to the best of my knowledge, doesn't advertise his intelligence.
No.
So it doesn't make sense there. If he was like, we need to find Batman, sure. But then Rorschach just casually goes to Wayne Manor, eats Bruce Wayne's breakfast, and then discovers the Batcave. So like, no. I'm just going to say no.
Very nonchalantly discovers the Batcave. Just happens to look at the clock. And it's like, let me just move this. And it's weird because they don't really do a very good. So I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Like, they don't like Gotham City doesn't want Batman. They want him gone. And the only reason why they have that is because there's this weird Superman theory going around where
because 97% of the world's superheroes are based in the United States. So everyone's like, what's going on here? Why are all the metahumans in the US? Like,
yeah, and it's so loosely done. And you know, Rorschach again, he's like talking to himself, he's weird, and you know, Bruce Wayne's like, I got it. I know where we're gonna go. And pretty much he brings him, he locks him up in Arkham. But there is a really cool bar fight scene with what the hell is it?
Marionette and Mime.
Marionette and Mime. That's you know, the Mime's like so gun-ho when he gets out of prison, when Rorschach breaks him out. He's like, I need his guns. And he's a fucking mime. So of course his guns are invisible. And they're actually invisible. Like he's holding a gun that's invisible. Like, come on.
I wonder if it's made from the same metal as Wonder Woman's invisible jet.
I don't know, man. Maybe, but it was fucking. It was that.
I need to add that to the list for Shenanigans Engines in the future. That's something I could rant about for a while. That thing's fucking stupid.
Yeah. Well, that was there you go. You can rant about that. But the mime thing was a little fucking cheesy and corny to me. I didn't really like how they tied all that together. But you finally kind of get this backstory about this new Rorschach guy, and you find out that his name is Reggie Long, and his father is actually Patrick, psychologist,
psychiatrist, I think,
that tried to help Kovacs, who was the first, I guess the original Rorschach.
Yeah.
And somehow Reggie becomes obsessed with it and believes that he is now, like we said, Rorschach.
Yeah, he was mentally broken by, watching the monster that Veidt created destroy New York.
Yeah, because he was a kid. You're right.
Yeah.
He was a kid when he watches the first nuclear.
I don't know. Was he a kid or was he? I thought he was like just out of college.
He looked pretty young in the drawing. When the nuke goes off,
look at that.
He says he watches the bomb go off, and I guess that's whatever nuke it was.
I thought that was the Alienix one. I got to look that up now.
But so he's in Arkham. He's obviously he's weird. He's fucking psycho. He's out of his fucking mind, and he meets this guy. Goes by Mothman. I think his name was Brian or something like that.
Yeah, dude. Fuck this part. Honestly, I was like, what am I even reading? Like, why am I doing this?
The Mothman thing?
Yeah.
It was weird. So he somehow gets to the roof and this guy's just standing there naked. And he's just like, yeah, I need to remove my clothes so I can fly. What? Like,
yeah.
That was the most random interaction that I think I've ever fucking read. Yeah. And he's like flies away, like no big deal. And then, the Mothman somehow, I don't remember if he like convinced Reggie that he needs to get out of Arkham, or he says, I'll help you get out of Arkham. But eventually the two of them get out, and Reggie, who's the new Rorschach, somehow manages to find Veidt. Yeah. No clue how. He's like freezing. He's like walking through wherever the fuck he's walking through, and he manages to find him. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, how did you find this guy in the middle of absolutely fucking nowhere? At that point, Veidt for a hot second realizes like this can't be Rorschach. He's fucking disintegrated, and realizing that he's not. While Reggie's in Arkham, he has another psychiatrist, goes by the name of Matt Mason, who you end up finding out is
the Dark Knight detective himself. Yeah,
Bruce Wayne in disguise. So
that part I liked. I was like, that's a pretty Batman thing to do. I like that.
I didn't realize who it was at first. I had to go back and flick through the page and see, but I thought that was done really well. So where it kind of gets the really political bullshit is when they bring Russia involved in this story, and that they have their own superhero team called the People of the Heroes, which is led by some guy called Poser. I don't know who the fuck Poser is supposed to be, because apparently Russia, or I don't know if they actually know this or not, but Lex Luthor knows that the metahumans are being created by somebody that used to be part of the Justice League. And when he's talking to Lois Lane about this, you can say maybe it's implemented. Again, we haven't gotten to the second part of the part 2 yet, so we don't actually know. Superman's watching over the conversation. So it kind of hints, is Superman the one creating this? My guess right now, if I'm going to take an assumption based on not remembering what happens in part 2 by any means, my guess is no. I don't think it is. Based on the fact that this is supposed to be what wipes out the New 52, I'm guessing Dr. Manhattan has something to do with it. Again, so you also meet at some point this guy, John Thunder. There it is in my notes here. Who's looking for the quote magical lamp?
He's like old as shit, right?
Which in this magical lamp belonged to his friend Alan. I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but he's looking for the fucking Green Lantern lamp. Why? No idea. No fucking clue. But eventually Batman is with Veidt in the fucking night owl plane thing, and he falls out or gets pushed out, launched out, whatever it is, and gets his ass beat. I'll own it. He gets bombarded by like every single person in Gotham and gets kidnapped by the Joker, which I thought bringing the Joker was kind of cool. I thought that
Yeah.
the Joker does fit well with the mime and Manetta or whoever the hell she is. And, you know, again, we don't really know much about those characters, the mime, Manetta, and then I'm going to call her Mason. Mason. And then you find out about him. And her story and his story is kind of unique because you don't actually know, is the mime an actual mute? Or does he just not speak English?
Well, this might be a spoiler. I thought he had his tongue ripped out, or maybe I just researched that on the side. And
I read that too. I read that too, and I didn't understand when that happened because it does not happen when he's a kid, unless it happens when he's like super young. Because they meet, you know, she's pretty young.
Yeah.
But a big thing about this whole thing that we totally missed out is the comedian is somehow back.
Yeah, like that's another thing. I was like, why is this a thing?
So, and then the comedian shows up, you know, obviously Batman's captured by the Joker and there's this huge villains meeting. They're all together and the comedian just fucking casually shows up with a sniper rifle and just starts fucking shooting people. No big deal. No one can catch him. There's only like 1 million people. Don't really know what happens with Bruce Wayne and Batman at that time. And then he kills, you know, Typhoon first, who then it lets off this whole fucking fiasco, and they all kind of run all over the place. And the comedian's trying to find them, Erica and the Mime, who Erica and the Mime are trying to find their son. And Rorschach says to them, like, hey, I'll tell you where your son is if you help me find Dr. Manhattan.
Right.
So pretty much the point of this entire first part is everybody is trying to find Dr. Manhattan, and nobody knows where Dr. Manhattan is. Again, you get the occasional pop-up of, you know, the DC characters.
Yeah, the main DC characters, which like
the villain thing was totally unnecessary. I would say as a follow-up to first of all, if you didn't read Watchmen, don't even waste your time reading this. You're not gonna have a fucking clue what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue what's going on. I've read Watchmen twice. And I don't know. The other thing that this book does too, which I really don't like, obviously if you're watching this, you're going to see what I'm about to do. If you're listening to it, you're not, is it does this bullshit. And I fucking hated this because it reminds me a lot of the fucking these stupid like newspaper clippings
where you're like, do I read this whole fake newspaper article or do I just take it at face value for what it is?
And they do it multiple times. Like at the end of every single fucking goddamn issue is these newspaper clippings. And not a fan. I don't like it. I don't think it's done well. And you know, that's that. I will give one thing about this book. I like the artwork.
Yeah, artwork's pretty good.
You know,
but as a whole, I'm just like, yeah.
I am looking forward to just finishing it because again, there was a part where it's like, let's not even read part 2. But honestly, Kyle, you recommended this to us. I'm going to finish it. Yeah,
maybe it gets better in the second half.
Yeah, I'm going to follow through with it again. But for me, I'm out on this book.
I'm not the biggest fan myself.
It's definitely not a GFR for me. It's probably a
read it if you get to it. If you were super into Watchmen.
I was saying it's a loophole. It's like read it if you liked Watchmen. You don't have to rush to it. But if you didn't like Watchmen, don't fucking read it. And if you didn't read Watchmen, don't fucking read it. So it's kind of like if you want it. If you want to read it, cool. If not, we ain't gonna judge you on that one. So, but that's it.
Yep.
That's all I got. But you have something.
I do. I'm debating which one I'm going to go with, but just for the sake of it, since we read this book, this week's Shenanigans Engine is Dr. Manhattan. What the fuck? Honestly, like this dude has such a bullshit level of shenanigans power that he just dips into all the time. Like literally skipped out of one universe, went to another and molded it based on what we've read so far in this book. And I'm just like, how? Like, because of some kind of, what was it, like a tachyon emitter he hit, whatever, changed his body, just made him invincible and everything. And he's like the most powerful character in like anything. Like his farts are stronger than Goku. Like it's completely outrageous. It really is. And it just like, as bad as Superman is in terms of being overpowered, like Dr. Manhattan's so absurdly next level that he was on a team of people who really didn't have any abilities, and he's just everything, like can create universes with thoughts. And now we're bringing him back into the mainstream fold. Totally unnecessary. Wildly, completely, horribly unnecessary. Should not have been done. This is a bad move.
It's funny that you brought up Goku because in the superhero battle that I put together bracket, Goku is in it.
Ooh, interesting.
So it will be interesting to see how that turns out. And you said
and we're doing that next week.
You have the guest?
I do have the guest, and he will be very good at this too. He's also an anime guy, so
he'll be able
to weigh in. He can zoom.
He can zoom. Do I know him?
No, you haven't met yet. You'll like him.
Cool. Well, guest next week. I will respectfully not. And the way we're going to do it, just so everybody knows, I put together a list of 33 characters.
33.
I came up with 33 different characters that I felt were, doing some research based on Marvel and who the strongest Marvel characters were, who the strongest DC characters were, some video game characters, some anime characters.
But why not an even number?
Because I put together like the strongest ones, and I always do one round where you have to fight your way in, and I randomly organize it. So the fight your way in could be Dr. Manhattan versus Super Saiyan, whatever you call him, Goku, and it's Saiyan, Super Saiyan Goku. Right, it's like what?
He's right up here. That's Super Saiyan Goku and Frieza in that picture.
Okay, that guy. So it could be those two, and one of them's got to fight in just to get into the bracket.
All right.
So it will be randomly organized. I will have no idea who's what. You guys will probably have more say in it. And for the record, just so anyone that listens to next week's episode, when they're like, well, you missed out on this guy. You missed out on this guy. Look, I did miss out on some of the guys that even I was like, who the fuck is this? Like, no, the people that are in this bracket is people that everybody knows. And you had to have superpowers to be in it. So my boy, Bruce Wayne, is not in it. Batman is not in it because he will not.
Fair enough.
But maybe Spider-Man is.
Yeah, Spider-Man probably is, but he's not one of the top tier most powerful characters. So
I can't wait for that.
Likely wouldn't make it that far. But shout in advance to Dave, who's going to be joining us next week. Different Dave, not Washington Dave. Yeah. So
once again, this is Why Am I Nerd? Joe Comics. You can follow us on Instagram, Why Am I Nerd Official, Facebook.com/Why Am I Nerd, and listen to new issues every Tuesday on YouTube and your favorite podcast service. It's 10 o'clock. I got 2 hours to edit this goddamn thing. My girlfriend is in the other room waiting for me. So, yeah. All right. We're Nerds with the Mouth. I'm Cameron James. He's Matt Ferreira. Until next time. You suck! You are so bad! What the fuck? You fucked up last week and you fucked up again this week. God damn it, Matt!